All right, it's 11:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. I am Rachel McNerney with Eder Casella, and I'll be the moderator for today's Tech Talk. Happy to see some familiar names and also some new ones too, so welcome. In today's seminar, we'll be talking about Microsoft Outlook. Most of us have probably used Outlook either at work or at home, but there are so many different features and apps that you may not know about. Our speaker today is Eric Vicencio, CIO and partner here at Eder Casella Technology. And Eric is my go-to whenever I have any tech questions. And with over 15 years of experience, he has worked with a lot of different solutions and has a lot of great tips to share with us today to keep us all organized. Today's seminar will be the 30 minutes. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end. I think that's all for me, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Eric so that he can share his tips.
Thanks, Rachel. So today we're going to talk about Microsoft Outlook. Whether or not you're a Microsoft Outlook user or maybe you're looking at potentially getting into it, we're going to skim the surface. By all means, we can get much deeper and talk about Outlook for days, but then I'm also going to talk about some things that you can use to keep yourself organized. So again, awesome picture of me. I didn't have nearly the facial hair that I have now, but again, my name is Eric Vicencio. I'm the CIO here at Eder Casella and Eder Casella Technology. I've got a lot of different compliancy things that are associated with what my focus has been for years, but generally I'm your IT nerd. I'm the guy that you ask questions that maybe nobody else has the answer to. So let's dive right in. What is Outlook? Well, Outlook is your email and calendar client that is published by Microsoft. There's a web version and a desktop version. There's also Office apps, which are, if you're a Mac user or an iOS user or an Android, you can actually use Outlook. And really what this is for is formatting your emails when they come in. It gives you a place to keep all of your tools, and it just allows you to reach out to your mail server, whether that's Google or Exchange Online if you're an Office 365 subscriber, or even just your personal email accounts as well. So what emails providers work with Outlook natively? I like to ask the question back, what emails providers don't work with Outlook nowadays? There's ways to configure it to talk to almost every email provider out there. If you want to connect it to Gmail, there's actually a trick with connecting Outlook to Gmail. It doesn't natively want to sync the calendars correctly, and Gmail identified this, and they're like, oh, well, we'll make a plugin that helps actually keep everything in sync. A lot of customers try to just do a one-to-one. So they basically set up their Gmail or their Exchange Online, and that's the only email that they connect to their Outlook. But I tell them, I'm like, if you have old email addresses, things that, even some of your personal emails, you can actually have Outlook go out and grab those emails and bring them in, and they just show in a different view. So that way you kind of have a single pane of glass where you can see all of your emails and organize and basically allow Outlook to do its thing to help you become more productive with your emails or respond to them quicker. All right. So for those of you that have been on my seminars before, I like to just bring out the truth. Let's talk about your 5,000 unread pieces of mail. You all know who you are. If it's unread and in your mailbox, it could be a potential issue. And I've got a ton of tips and tricks that I'll help you get those things out of your inbox and to a place that'll help you not have important pieces of mail get missed, okay? I do want to note here, if you have 5,000 unread pieces of mail in your inbox, you may be potentially getting to the point where the size of your mailbox will become an issue, because Outlook does like to have smaller mailboxes so it can actually search through the data. If it has to go through 5,000 pieces of mail, if you're doing just a simple search in Outlook, it'll start to bog down for sure. And there's ways that you can trim this so it's more efficient, maybe only keeping the last year. All right, so organizing your inbox, it's easy. If you right click on your inbox, you can actually create a subfolder. If you're like me, you can also make a subfolder. And if you would really like to make a subfolder for your subfolder of the subfolders, you can do that as well. You can get as granular as you want. So let's say you would like to organize things by date, person, or subject. So you could actually make a 2021 subfolder, put all your 2021 emails into this subfolder, and maybe you categorize them by customers. Let's say you're an insurance agent and you have particular customers that you would like to put, all of the Vicencio family Vicencio family into the 2021 Vicencio folder. And these are working from last year. And you can do that. You could actually even write rules and things like that. And I'll talk about those in a minute. And it allows you to get super granular with where you're putting this data, so it's easier to find. You can even categorize it by subject, whatever makes sense to you. There's also the use of custom flags for follow-up. And on the right-hand side of each email, you have the ability to flag an email. And you can actually use those for, if you want to follow up today, tomorrow, next week, next year, anything like that. Or if you want to even use these custom flags for organizing your emails, maybe they're important, so you flag them with a specific color or name that color if you maybe have a little bit of trouble with, the normal colors, colorblind or something. You can actually name each one of those flags. So let's say it's customer documentation. Let's say you're a moving company and you're trying to organize your inbox so you know which pieces of email came from specific customers. You could actually use the flags for something like that too. There's a concept out there called inbox zero. It's a concept where you have exactly zero mail in your inbox. A lot of you are probably shaking your head saying, no way, absolutely not. I get it. I totally get it. I've seen this done. I've seen this done quite well. One of the rules for inbox zero, they say, is to keep your mail closed for the majority of the day and blocking off the hour or two to respond to your emails and potentially even putting up out of office responses while you're doing so. For a lot of us small business owners, we're like, no, there's no way I could do that. My customers would be knocking on my door or like driving to the office. But maybe if you're not a business owner, it could be something worth looking into, because to be honest, a lot of times you'll read an email, and I'm a victim of this too. You'll read an email and then you say, well, I don't have the time to respond to that right this second because I'm in the middle of 5 other things. And this email just came in and it's maybe more, I would say more shiny and new than the things that I'm working on. So I want to jump onto that email, but then you read it and you're like, this is probably going to take me 10 to 15 minutes to get back to that person. So I just leave it read in my mailbox, right? That's where the inbox zero would actually come into play. We're keeping Outlook closed. And then during that time where I have blocked off, I could actually say, okay, this is my time for responding to that email, so I need to address it now. So instead of wasting the time that I just did out of my day reading the email and doing nothing with it, I'm actually taking the time to do something with it. There's also a premise where you are supposed to respond immediately to anything that you can within under 2 minutes. So if it's an under 2-minute email, I'm responding to it right this second. And then they also have a principle of delete, delegate, and respond or defer when processing mail in your inbox. So basically if you're opening it up, let's say you're doing inbox zero, you're opening up your inbox, you're saying, okay, I'm either deleting, delegate, responding, or deferring these emails as they come in. And each one of these has a different meaning. To be honest, if you're looking to do inbox zero, Google it, 100%. It will change your life. It's actually a super interesting read. The concepts, maybe the entire inbox zero doesn't work for you, but parts of it could, okay? I can't express this enough. There are different ways to actually just work with your mailbox, and inbox zero is one of them. It's one of them that when I worked in the healthcare space, we actually all tried to subscribe to inbox zero. And I'm going to talk about some tools later on that could actually help with Inbox Zero. And they really kind of come along the lines of the defer or responding standpoint. So I'm going to go through quite a few tips and tricks and things that you probably didn't know, or if you did know, awesome. And these are things that we get asked questions a lot. If you are a Microsoft Teams user, if you have an email highlight, you can actually click the button that I have highlight here, and it says share to Teams. Basically, what that does is it takes the email message and it pulls it into Microsoft Teams, so you can share it with a team, an individual. You can share it with about anybody that you want that actually is a Teams user. You could even put it in there for collaboration, or if you need to delegate something to another staffer, you could actually do that. You could do this instead of forwarding the email. It's very similar. Or if you want to use it as a learning point for the rest of your staff, you can do that as well. Super neat feature if you're a Teams user. If you're not, I just have a question of why. What are you waiting for? But that's probably neither here nor there. All right. Tip number 2: creating rules or using the sweep feature. If you didn't know, you can create rules in Outlook to move any message to a specific folder or even delete them without your action. So let's say you've used your work email to subscribe to some magazine, and they just keep sending you stuff even after you've tried to unsubscribe. You just keep getting articles, and for renewal or something, you can actually create a rule to take that message and delete it. You won't ever even see it. Let's say you have a customer. Maybe you're in the initial stage of starting to set up rules or folders. And let's say you want to take all Eric Vicencio's emails from 2020 and put them into a specific folder in your inbox. You can write a rule to do so. The rules are just, you click a button and it'll actually say, do you want to do this action? And it's super simple to set up. Sweeping is almost the same as doing a rule, but sweep is like at the time. You can actually select to run the rule now, which basically does the same thing. Or if you use the Outlook web access, which is like the web version of Outlook, sweep comes into play with that one. Let's see, I think I have a picture of that. Yeah, right here. So in this scenario, Michelle has sent me a message, and I click on the rules button and I say, always move messages from Michelle Vicencio, and then I can put what folder that I want those to go into. In this scenario, it was an appointment request, so I could say, put that into my extremely important folder, because that's my wife, and flag it so I have to follow up, so I'm not getting in trouble when I go home. Simple enough. I see a lot of people even create custom alerts for some of these emails. So let's say your boss, like your boss's boss, like the person that you probably have to respond to pretty quick, you could actually make alerts that become more of an annoyance to you, so you do something with it right away. So the rules or alerts, you can have it set as a high priority, so it comes through if you've got Outlook on your phone. So your phone actually notifies you more frequently that you've received an email or that you have something going on and you need to address it. These are super powerful. I would say you potentially could have a fair amount of rules that help you simplify your life. Tip number 4, getting help in delegating your access. Let's say you're a business owner, small business owner. Let's say you run a awesome moving company in Spring Grove, Illinois, and you have a plethora of staff underneath you that could help you looking at your mail, looking at your calendar, and helping you organize things. This comes in really handy if you have an admin. You can actually give someone access to read, send your mail or your calendars. They can even send or set up meetings on your behalf. Can't say enough about this. It'll change your life if you get it set up and get it set up right. Let's talk about some of the tools that you can use from Microsoft Office 365 that are included. Things that a lot of people don't even know that they can use. The dictate button, stop typing, start dictating. If you click that button on this email, you could talk to your computer and it'll write everything for you. Let's say you're multitasking, you're trying to basically write something out to multiple people. You click that button and all of a sudden your computer just starts typing for you. It's amazing. Proofread it. I've had plenty of, Siri mistakes. You tell Siri to send somebody a text and, it messes up the words, but just check for those. But for overall, totally works, and it works great. I've used this multiple times. Using the editor. This is kind of that built-in spell checker, but it also does things like grammar, formality, punctuation. If you've been to any of my seminars prior, you know that I went to a Rockford public school. Don't hold it against me, I'm sorry. Grammar's not my strong points. So using the editor really kind of helps, and it gives me a quick glance on how I'm writing, and even just the formality of which I'm writing as well. Using templates. If you have something that you're writing to people the exact same every single time, if you click the templates button, it allows you to build your template. So instead of responding and having to type everything out each time, you click the template, it populates the template in there. Maybe you have to plop in 4 or 5 little things, and then you hit send and you're good to go. Okay. Templates is actually pretty strong. It's really nice if you're responding to customers, maybe inquiries to, let's say you got something on your website and you're wanting to respond to those customers in the exact same way. That's how you do that. Some life-changing email apps. I talked about the delay in your mailbox. Boomerang is the top one here. Some of these are paid, so I will have to say, none of these do I sell or anything like that. You just subscribe to them. Boomerang, basically, if you think about a boomerang, you throw something, it goes out, and then it comes back. Basically the exact same thing with an email. If you use Boomerang, you say, okay, I'm going to deal with this tomorrow at 5. Boomerang removes it from your mailbox, and tomorrow at 5 brings it back into your mailbox for you to see it. The inbox 0, that helps you with this inbox 0. Grammarly, another great tool. There's some free versions of it. It basically checks all your spelling and grammar. Additional to what the built-in feature does, it maybe goes a little bit further. And that's what Advanced Folder does as well. You can do some advanced rules with that tool. Mr. Post is an actual email inspector. If you don't have, let's say, a fancy web or a filter for your emails, Mr. Post actually will inspect just about any email for you. And it tries to find malicious links or potentially malicious attachments. Trello. Trello is a project management board. Most Microsoft accounts would have access to Trello of some sort. You basically could set up a project board. If you do a lot of project management and you're not using Trello, at least give it a look. But you can actually link directly to Trello from an email. Zomato, if you set up a lot of meetings where you're going to restaurants, this actually is a built-in feature for calendar invites that actually help you find restaurants, and it plops some of the information in there. It can even link to some of the menus. Pretty cool feature. I think these are big time savers, and not knowing that things like this exist out there for Outlook, I think is really big for a lot of customers as well. Other noteworthy tools, let's talk about them. If you're sending an email in your Office 365, you can include a poll on your email. If you're sending it out to mass amounts of employees, the polls may be something worth looking at. Let's say you even just want to poll where everybody wants to go to lunch tomorrow, or you want to know how IT is doing for the organization. You could actually embed a poll into here. On the right-hand side, you see it says input your question. So question 1, question 2, question 3, and then you can have option 1, option 2, option 3, and you actually send those all out. Pretty cool embedded tool that a lot of people don't use. Voting buttons. These are kind of cool too. In the actual email itself, under the options, you click on the voting buttons, And you can actually make it where people have basically a clickable response, very similar to a poll, but maybe you're just wanting to know a yes or no question. You could use either. You notice at the bottom there, it even has the poll built in. Potentially something to look into if you've never used it before. The read and delivery receipts. We probably have all gotten one of these and ignored it. But this is how you do it. If you want to know when the email was delivered to a specific individual, click it. They actually don't even see if it's been that flag. You're the only one that sees it. The read receipt, people have the option to say no. But if it's something maybe you're sending out to staff, turning on the read receipts could be something worthwhile here too. Delayed delivery. If you get an email from me in the middle of the night, it's probably because I'm still working. I'm always working. But let's say you want to send something while you're on vacation to staff to remind them of something. You can actually set up an email, compose the email, and then just set up the delivery on that specific date and time, and boom, it goes to them. If you've ever wondered how people do it, this is how it's fairly simple. All you have to do is go into your options and actually hit the delayed delivery. And once you put it in there, boom, it's done. If you want the replies to be sent to somebody else, you can actually select that in there too. So let's say it is while you're on vacation. That's how you would get those emails out and responses without you necessarily having to do anything. All right, let's talk about your signature. I know this is something that a lot of people struggle with or trying to make uniform. Microsoft Outlook allows you to personalize it, but some best practices: use standard fonts. If you go crazy and make it so it looks like custom handwriting, the odds of it leaving your system and being accepted by somebody else and it being readable, it lowers. You're going to want your contact information, your name, salutation, company, phone number, title, return email, logo, and banners. Keep them small, don't make them big. Different mail applications will actually mess with them. Don't make the entire signature a picture, because if the entire picture gets trimmed off of their side, they're not going to even see your entire signature. Legal notices. I love legal notices at the bottom of the email. I think it's quite ironic that I actually took this this legal notice, basically saying that this communication is only for the legally privileged, confidential, whatever. I took it from somebody's email, so it actually told me I couldn't copy it, the email, but I copied their actual legal notice. Generally a good idea. You can do this on your signature, or you can do it as the mail clients as a whole, so everybody in the organization. Generally a good idea. Some links. If you want to add your website to your actual signature. Shortcut to write a review. This is going to help you boost your SEO. Social media links, calendar apps for like scheduling appointments. These are becoming more and more popular and common to have actually embedded into your signature. Things to avoid. I know everybody loves them. Try to lose those inspirational or personal quotes. Links to social media that's not updated. Stagnant information like address changes. You know, I can't tell you how many times I run into these. Oh, our address changed 4 years ago. Use a single color font. Blue and black is generally okay, but if you start to get into too many of the crazy colors, I would say avoid that. Or adding the long disclaimers. Short and simple, people. That's it. All right. I know we're getting really short on time, so I'm going to burn through. What about your calendar? Okay. You can categorize calendar items. In the standard Microsoft Outlook, everything goes in as blue, but you can categorize green, red, whatever. You can actually modify what these categories are. So if you're a person that's very visual and you want to see, you know, if you need to be somewhere else or a different office, you can actually categorize those by color. If you set an event to private, if you've shared your calendar, the person that you've shared it to likely will not be able to see all of the intricacies of that actual appointment. They're only going to be able to see the title and maybe where the location is. They're not going to be able to see any of the notes. So if you're like me and I put everything on my calendar, even things that I'm doing off hours, I make those private. So people that are querying my calendar just see that I have a private event at this time and maybe the location in which I'm going to be. Add a priority. These will help you remember these appointments or things like that. If it's super high importance, your phone's going to act differently once it notifies you that you have an important event, or you can have your computer notify you differently. Setting the reminders to not miss a meeting. For some reason, some people set this to 0. I love that reminder 15 minutes before I need to go somewhere, but don't be afraid to change this. Let's say you're meeting at downtown McHenry at noon and you need to leave at 11:30 to go downtown McHenry. Set this with enough time for you to be able to get down there. Or if you're like me and I like to hit that snooze button a couple of times, make it earlier. Make it so you don't miss anything. Don't forget to set your location. The default is setting you to busy. Let's say it's just an informational calendar event. You can make yourself free on your calendar, but you just want to put it on there just so you have it. Tentative, working elsewhere, out of office. I love out of office, especially if you're a Teams person, because it actually sets your location in Teams to out of office. So people know, let's say I'm at a client all day. They know that I'm out of pocket potentially, and I won't be able to respond until I'm back in the office. Okay. Make it a Teams meeting. If you use Teams, click that button. It actually adds in phone numbers, your conference IDs, any of that information. It actually pops that all in there for you. You can have this turned on by default all the time. Not a bad idea if you're starting to work with remote people. Keep looking for new features. Microsoft is constantly changing and updating features, things that they're just building in. They will add, but they will also remove. So you need to be like, pay attention to what's new, what's upcoming, and what features might help you along the way. Because to be honest, if you're not watching or you don't have a trusted IT partner, like, the bearded guy that's on the west side of McHenry, you might miss something. And that's what we're here to help you look for. Any questions? Wow, just in the nick of time.
Thanks, Eric. We did get one question in. Do you find that most of the features you talked about are also on the mobile app? Because a lot of us are on the go. Do you see, are most of those features available?
With the iOS app, so being an Apple user myself, there are some that are there. There are some that are missing. If you're using the web version, a lot of those features are still there. So it really just depends. It depends on which features, but it's a weird mix. It is missing quite a few, but there are still a bunch that are there.
No, the only other thing is that Faye says thanks, and that was great information.
No problem, Faye, anytime.
Well, thank you everybody for joining, and we'll still send out the video after if you want to go back and see any of the features. And then we will have our April Tech Talk on the 2nd Wednesday, which will be April 13th. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
See y'all.